How's it going to anybody who could be watching this, who might find it? Um, Today, I'm going to try and do my first how-to or build video. I wouldn't really call it a how-to. There's plenty of those out there. But I am going to take all these items here, talk about them, and put it together and get it to work. The first one here is our motherboard. It's an old Asus or Asus, I don't know how to pronounce it, but Prime Z or Z, red panda mining, Z270-A. And back in the day, this was a pretty popular motherboard for miners. Don't mind my bare feet. I live near the beach. But this board back in the day was very popular because it has 7 PCIe slots, and it was pretty cool too because the 3 that are full size, they are actually PCIe by 16. And you got to forgive me, a lot of this stuff that I'm going to talk about, I honestly have no idea. I'm just parroting what I've learned, what works, and the mechanics of it. You know, this is, I know where the GPU goes, and I know it's a PCIe slot, and I know that, you know, depending on the size of the slot and the type of board, each PCIe slot has a different rating. I don't even know what the heck the X16 stands for. I guess it's lanes. I'm really not sure. I still have a lot to learn, but making these videos and working on this stuff is part of it. But as you can see, if you go through and look, I zoom in. The smaller ones obviously are PCIe X1 or ×1, or I don't know how to say it, but there are 3 that are actually X16 slots, which is kind of cool. So you could just slap on 3 GPUs right here. These two they'd have a good gap in between them, but these two would be pretty tight. I've done it before when I was first starting out back in February. This was the first board that I got, and the story with this board is I got it on eBay, and it was far cheaper. I mean, for me, I had no clue what I was doing. So this thing was like $80. The other ones, the same model, same manufacturer, they were going for over $100. And this is an old board, so brand new ones with 4 to 6 PCIe slots were $100, $150, something like that. But I got this one for 80, and it's because it has some issues. And I'll start it over here. So that the RAM slots, there's 4, just like any other motherboard that has 4, but only one works, and it's that one that has the PNY Accelerate 16 gig. I think it's DDR4 RAM that's in there. And this this was the first issue that caused it to have a discounted price. But the seller assured, in the statement, that it works. The board will work. I also suspect that some of these PCIe slots do not work, or there's just an issue that I'm just unfamiliar with, where in the past, like Bitsby Trippin's videos and a few others that I learned from setting up the motherboard so that it can run 7 total GPUs, I could never get any more than 4. And everything I did, every troubleshooting technique that was recommended online for this board for mining, it just didn't work. So I suspect that some of these don't work, or if you do any combination of 4 with GPUs plugged directly into it, or using the PCIe risers, any combination of that, I couldn't get any more than 4 to work. So if anybody sees this and you know how to make this work beyond what is already out there on the internet, let me know. Now for the rest of it, I got this gigantic Cooler Master freaking, it's a Cooler Master Air, I gotta look at my notes. Cooler Master Air MA410M RGB. And everyone knows RGB gives you more hash rate. So this thing lights up like a Christmas tree. It's like putting stickers on a Honda. But anyways, under that is, and I gotta verify this because I haven't used this in a long time, since like March timeframe. But I believe this one has an i5 6600K that runs at starts at 3.9 gigahertz. It's a quad core. And what I was doing originally was just kind of experimenting with everything. So on here I have, that CPU with this cooler that's really way too big for, for mining, but I CPU mined with it. And I had a few GPUs on here. When I started out, I had one, and then I got two, and then I got a couple more, and then I got some risers. And like I said in the start, I had 4 GPUs on risers working off of this, and I couldn't get any more to work. But I was mining Varus Coin with the CPU and Raven Coin with the GPUs. So that's the motherboard, the RAM, the cooler, the CPU. Not much else going on with it. It's a great board. This one has some issues, and I think this is a good testament to pretty much what the hobbyist miner was talking about before, where you don't have to buy a brand new PC with 3080 whatever inside of it. It'd be awesome if you can get that if you have the money for it, but I don't have the money to spend on that kind of thing. Although if I added up everything I spent on all this older equipment, I probably could have gotten a pretty nice PC, gaming PC with a very nice, 3080, 3070 something inside of it. But then that would be all I could have. And this is what I really like about HiveOS. I got it on a thumb drive. This is like a 16 gig, 32 gig PNY thumb drive. I think I got 10 of these for, I don't even know, 20 bucks, 15 bucks. And they are they're great. I haven't had any issues flashing them and then running them on a motherboard as the primary hard drive for an operating system. So that's what we're going to be using today. So I don't yet have the expertise to hold a camera, or which is my phone. I don't have the expertise to hold a camera and put all this together. So what I'm going to do is just kind of slap it together and maybe get to the point where we're going to power it up and then talk about maybe slapping on an SSD hard drive, running Windows to it, or just going with the HiveOS thumb drive. So the power supply I'm going to use is a EVGA 550 watt gold power supply. The idea that I have is what I've seen a lot of people do, and I keep bringing up the hobbyist miner because I like the videos that he puts out. They're very good, they're full of information, and he started out kind of where I'm at. We almost started out around in the same time frame, but he seems to have a lot more knowledge base than I do on hardware and software. And what he's doing is using a smaller power supply like this. He's actually using like 750 watts because they're very good. I have a couple of those, and I originally started out with a 750 watt, I think it was EVGA, and this motherboard with that CPU and that cooler, and I was GPU mining and CPU mining, and it worked out great. And as it grew and grew and grew, even that 750 was not enough. So I got a couple of these. I'm probably gonna get some more, and my goal is to have these lower, wattage power supplies just run the board and the CPU and the fan, obviously, and then any GPUs that I add, if it's more than say 2 for this board, Then I'll go to GPU risers, and at that point, I'm going to go to server power supplies like HP. I think that's pretty much what everyone's selling right now. I got mine from Parallel Miner. I really like what they sell. I think I got my first server PSU from them with a breakout board. I think the whole thing costs like 70 bucks. And that one server with that breakout board that came with it was able to power the motherboard, the CPU, and GPUs. And at the time, I was only using 120 volt, so really that takes it down to about 900 watts. But I mean, I'm using RX 470s and 570s. They're all 4 gig cards, and even mining Raven, the most I would run would be like 4 cards on 900 watt server power supply, with a board like this. And then of course we have our RX 470. This one is actually giving me some trouble, and I'm gonna try and see if it will work in HiveOS. Something I want to show you before I continue is, if you do get a power supply unit from somewhere that it might be questionable, it could be used, there is a way to test it. And luckily this one, it was a full brand new kit. It came with this. I don't know the technical name of it, but it's basically a tester. If you plug this into your 24 pin and then turn on the power supply, the fans should spin, and then that should let you know that it does in fact work before even hooking it up to it. Okay, I'm gonna power it on, and hopefully we'll see these fans spin. All right, there we go. Very cool. I'm pretty happy with this. Just a simple little power supply unit. And it will work for what I need. So a fun fact about this is, if you have one of those server motherboards where you can, stack the GPUs right next to each other, the giant boards where the GPUs can plug in directly, I guess in parallel, I don't know how to explain it. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like an Octominer board, for example. If you were to try to use a power supply like this, some of those don't have a 24 pin on the board itself. So without this plugged in, I think I've seen some videos where the power supply unit won't power on. And I think it may be older power supply units. I'm not really sure. Again, I am not an expert, still learning. But I've seen where people have had, they made videos where they have even a server PSU with their 24 pin plugged in, and then they put one of these on here. They have everything else plugged in to power that server GPU or server motherboard and the GPUs, and with this on here, it will activate that power supply. So something to keep in mind. It's also a good way to test it to make sure it works. If it doesn't, you can return it.